Sing me a song of a lass that is gone. Say, could that lass be I? Mary of soul, she sailed on a day over the sea to sky.
Hey yo everybody, Owlvine here. Today I'm going to be finally doing part 2 of the Q&A. I'm also going to be drinking tea because I made this for myself like ages ago and it's going cold and I really want to drink it. I'm turning into my mother. Oh, she would forever be leaving teas everywhere and going stone cold, and anyway, I'm going to try and remember to drink my tea. So excuse me for that. So the Q&A part 2, we got some more fun questions today. So let's get into it. The first question is, what's been your biggest area of growth witchy-wise since you started your YouTube channel? I think, I don't know, I mean, confidence is definitely one. Like, I feel like doing this has brought me so much confidence in my just general life, which is definitely translated into my magic. And also being open, like openness. You know, before I began this channel, I was a lot more closed. I had more strict ideas of what I thought magic was. But when I created my YouTube channel, I started connecting with more magical practitioners. And I've really started to realize, you know, how different we all are, and that that's actually a really beautiful thing. And it doesn't make me wrong, it doesn't make them wrong. It just adds to the richness of learning and growth and possibility. You know, there is no one right way, and anyone who says so, I believe, is wrong. So there. If you were an incense blend, what would be in it? This is a really good question, and I've never actually made an incense blend, so I don't know what would go. But ingredients that I feel like are something representative of me, I would put rosemary in there. I would put some sage. I would put a bit of frankincense, rose, a rose. What else would I put in there? I'm trying to think of what things I've got around. I would put some powdered bone in there. Pine. I'm just going to stop there because I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know how good that incense blend would be, but I feel like there's something missing out of that. I feel like it needs something else. I'm just having that feeling. I don't know. Anyway, that's what I would put in my incense blend of myself. I don't know, that's kind of smell. What do you like seeing on other witches' YouTube channels, and what videos would you like to see more of in the community? I would like to see more on people's personal, spiritual, what would the word be? Development. I was going to say struggles, but not struggles necessarily, but development, like different lessons that they're going through, different things they're learning in their spiritual practices, in their magical practices, sort of more about the process, you know, of being a witch and what that's like for them. I don't feel like there's a whole lot out there like that. You know, a lot of people do, you know, they show off stuff, or they do altar tours, or you know, do different how-tos, and all those videos are fantastic, by the way. Love all of them. I would like to see probably more about, you know, spiritual development and processes that people are going through themselves. That stuff's quite personal though, so I can understand why people wouldn't necessarily share that. But that's something I'd like to see more of, I guess. Do you think you were born a witch, or did you become one? I like this question. I've kind of been hearing this. I have ideas about this sort of thing. So, personally, now this is a less romantic idea than probably a lot of people like, but I don't believe we are born anything. I really think that we have a lot more choice than that. You know, I think we have certain inclinations, and certain preferences that maybe we can be born with. But I think a lot of it is nurture. A lot of it is environment. And I don't think that that makes it any less wonderful. Like, we kind of have this idea that, you know, if you're born a certain way, if you're born with a certain talent or a certain preference, or, you know, as a witch or whatever, that somehow makes it really special. I don't agree. Like, I think, you know, so many of these things are choices. And that doesn't, make them any less special. You know, we are far more empowered than we give ourselves credit for. That's what I truly believe. So I don't believe I was necessarily born a witch. I do think that I was born with certain inclinations that developed into who I am today, developed into me being a witch. Now, in terms of nurture, like, my parents definitely didn't nurture me into being a witch, that's for sure. As I've mentioned before, it's like a no-no in my family, what I'm doing. But yeah, there were things that I did naturally really enjoy, like, you know, I developed into really loving nature, like always kind of having that reverence for nature. And it was through watching different movies and reading different books and being outside and all these kind of things that I developed into being a witch, I feel, if that makes sense. Now, I don't want to, like, say that, you know, we are definitely not born, you know, as whatever, because I know some people really feel passionately about that, as well as I feel passionately about not having choice, you know. Yeah, and I don't think that makes it wrong or bad, or like, anyway, I'm not going to get into more of that. So no, I don't believe I was born a witch, but I believe I was born with certain inclinations and things that I liked, that developed into me being who I am today. That was long-winded. And the second part of the question is, what was the first moment you realised you were a witch? I didn't really have like a light bulb bang moment. I have mentioned before that I sort of experienced witchcraft when I was a younger child. You know, there was times when I was, I don't know, really little, and, you know, I'd mix potions and things like out of water and flower petals and whatever, trying to make, you know, potions, I don't know. And then when I was about 11, I had like my first real, I would say, magical, energetic experience. And then when I was 20, how old am I now? I'm 28 now, 25? Yeah, I think 25 is when I decided, you know, I really want to explore this witchcraft thing. But yeah, there wasn't a moment where I felt like a witch. For me, it took time to develop. You know, it took time and self-reassurance to be like, you know, what you're doing is witchcraft and you are a witch. You are a self-empowered woman, you know, you are a witch. Yeah, there wasn't like a moment where I was just like, oh my God, I'm a witch, you know. But yeah, it took time to kind of develop the mindset and really accept that I was. That's my answer to that question. How's your Grimoire Book of Shadows going? Or Book of Shadows? It's not really going anywhere, to be honest. I shared a video about it like a really long time ago, sometime, well, last year. Yeah, and, you know, I'd done some things in there then. I haven't done a lot since then. I just kind of wasn't feeling it anymore. What I do now is I journal. I journal like a month. This journal here is what I'm writing in at the moment. I've got, it's so dirty, but I have like a whole bunch of these. These are 200 pages and I've filled this up in less than 2 months. At the moment, I'm just putting everything in my journals, like anything magical, shadow work stuff, just general, like I feel like a chat to myself, so I write. Just everything is going in my journals at the moment. I've started a new journal now, like I'm already partway through. This one's just where I wrote the questions that I was gonna, you know, answer for this a couple of weeks ago, and I've since filled it all up. Yeah, but so at the moment I'm just like, I love to write, so I'm putting everything down in written journal form. I will probably get back to doing the whole Book of Shadow thing at some point. I'm thinking a binder though would probably be good. Like I really liked the book that I was doing it in, but the size wasn't quite right for me and things like that. So I'm still working out like how I want to do that, I guess. But yeah, right now I don't really, you know, like I've mentioned before, my practice is very intuitive. So I don't, like if I write stuff down, I don't generally go back and use it again. Like it's more just to record it and, you know, for one day in the future if I want to look back or whatever. So yeah, I don't really have one right now, but I write everything down in a journal, and you know, I'm sure at some point I will get back into doing that. So yeah, that's kind of boring. I know everyone like loves grimoires and books of shadows and things like that. I'm just sort of not doing that whole thing at the moment. But I think when my practice becomes a little bit more structured, that I may get into that again. We'll see. We'll see. Do you believe in reincarnation? I don't really. I really like the idea of reincarnation. The reason that I don't think that it's probably true is that for me, my ego really loves the idea. Like the part of me that kind of makes me a human being, you know, my personality, the part of me that wants to live on forever, really likes the idea of reincarnation. So ego, to my mind, is quite a human trait. So therefore, because it's a really comfortable idea, I don't think that it's true. Now, it could be. I've been looking into it a little bit more recently, and yeah, I found this really interesting website where it kind of shared some facts or things that haven't been proven, but like, oh, these are really interesting kind of stories or things that happened which could support reincarnation, or at least kind of get you to expand and think about it. So I'll link that down below. I was reading that last night. Yeah, so I don't really think reincarnation is a thing. However, I'm very open, and I think that it absolutely could be, and I think it would be really cool if it was. Like I love the idea of kind of the soul, you know, continuing on until it's learnt what it needs to up to a certain point. I think that's pretty cool, but yeah, I'm not sure. And if so, are there any specific eras or time periods you believe you could have been from or feel connected to? I have had a past life reading from someone before, and she picked up, it was just pre-Victorian era, and it felt very kind of English, and yeah, I have always felt quite drawn to that era as well. So I was like, okay, yep. And just the different things that she said that she saw about that time and me, like really hit me, like really hit home. But there were things that could like definitely have been translated into this life as well, like experiences I've had in this life. So I don't know how much was, you know what I mean, like connecting to that other time, like was I ever there, or is it just something I can really relate to now in this life? So I don't know. I've also felt really drawn to, yeah, probably that time period, and before then a little bit, probably like 1600s Europe. I've always felt kind of drawn to that, and also like pre-agriculture. You know, I think it would have been a really, really tough time to live in, but pre-agriculture, you know, this society that we, you know, live in today, agriculture really began the development to where we are today, like massively. The world has changed very quickly since that moment of man first growing his own seeds. Yeah, so sort of pre that, you know, goddess religion. Again, in Europe. Europe is yeah, I've always felt very drawn to Europe. And I know for a fact, obviously, that my ancestry comes from Europe. Irish and Polish are the most immediate ancestry that I have. Beyond that, I'm not sure. But yeah, so Europe pre all that. is where I feel drawn to. What element would you wish to shift into? I love this question. I love this question. I found it really difficult. I did have a think about this before I turned the camera on. And all of them, I can think of wonderful reasons why I would want to be able to shift into that particular element. I think, honestly, that I would choose fire after thinking about it long and hard. Although I'd really like air too, but probably fire. I'm a very sort of fiery personality. I think it would be fun to be able to burst into flame, and you know, fire is very showy, and you're just very beautiful and captivating, and I think fire would be my choice. How do you feel about working with dark energy? I'm all for it, absolutely. I've been getting into it, learning a little bit more about working with dark energy lately, and just kind of tapping into that. I don't think that it's necessary. I don't think that people who don't want to do it should, or anything like that. Just for myself personally, I find it very balancing. For me, it's kind of helps me tap into that other part of myself, you know. I feel like, you know, there's a lot of denial of darkness, and, you know, darkness is like one of those umbrella terms. Like, it could mean an awful lot of things, but I think there is too much denial of that. And I think that it can create problems on a very personal self level, but also on more of a global level. You know, I think that sometimes when we ignore these things, they can pop up and push out in really unhealthy ways. I mean, that's kind of another thing. But yeah, I'm all for working with dark energy, and I have enjoyed doing so over the years. Describe the best of you. Okay. The best of me. Well, I'm quite creative. I'm quite weird. I think that's a good thing. I'm a little bit left of center. I'm good at making people feel listened to, like when I'm speaking with people. I don't know about online. I'm kind of a bit funny with the whole online communication thing. I haven't quite worked it out yet. But yeah, when I'm in person with people, they feel listened to, and I'm good at making them feel special and heard. So I think that's pretty cool. I enjoy the way I think. I think quite differently to a lot of other people. Perhaps, I don't know. Just the way that I kind of view the world and connect with the world. I also really like that I'm very kinesthetic, so feelings based. I'm very in touch with my emotions. You know, I've been through a lot of stuff, and I feel like I have a depth of emotion, or emotional understanding. Yeah, those are some things about me that I can think of right now that are pretty good, I guess. Describe your shadow, Owlvine. Okay, so I find it quite difficult to share my emotions, which is interesting because I never thought that was a thing for me, but I've recently really been realizing how much I don't share when I'm having issues. For me, that's why I love journaling, because I let it all out to myself. I don't necessarily let it out to anyone else or whatever. But I feel like I probably need to learn to communicate better a bit more. What else? Sometimes I talk too much. I either talk too much or I don't talk enough. You know, like when I'm with people, I either don't share anything about myself or I overshare. I do have a real battle with anger. Yeah, I just, through different experiences I've had and a lot of like suppression that I've experienced in my life, you know, I have issues with that, although I've worked through a lot of stuff the last few years, and I feel like I'm doing pretty good, compared to what I was, definitely. But I still feel like, you know, there's a lot of that anger there, and I think that has to do with, you know, what I spoke about first is not really expressing a lot of my emotions. I'm quite shy and very hyper aware of myself, which has caused a lot of anxiety. I'm really working on that at the moment, and you know, making this YouTube channel's helped. but also just like getting out there and, you know, doing the things that I want to do, and like stepping through the fear and going, I feel so scared, but I'm going to fucking do it anyway. You know, and that's helping me really grow and develop, and, you know, not have so much holding me back and so much anxiety, you know, all the time, which has been amazing. What else is shadow about me? I don't know. That's probably enough for now, I guess. What do the pictures, and the song at the beginning of your videos mean to you? So the song is, oh, my foot's going numb. Oh, that's not going to be good. I'm going to get pins and needles real bad in a minute. Alright, the song is from Outlander, the first season. That version is from the first season. Now, Outlander is an amazing TV show that I love, but I love the books, and I love the TV show more because I read the books years ago and just fell in love with them. So the song for me, like as soon as I heard that song and the imagery that plays with that song as well, like it just like shouted to me of magic, you know. You know, it's in Scottish Highlands too, which is just, oh, it just like magic. To me, everything about it is magic. So I knew that like that was the song that I wanted to have with my intro. And the pictures, there's 4 pictures. So there's an image of a pagan man kind of ecstatically, you know, praising the earth. That to me is, okay, my foot. Alright, just had to take a break there because my foot was like crazy, ouch. Okay, so the pagan man, really to me, it's like that abandonment, you know, like just being wild and free and connected. That's what he means to me. The second image is a more intimate image of a woman like touching some kind of fungi. And that to me is just like that intimate connection with earth and like really getting close to it. And I feel like I can smell the leaves in that picture and just, you know, feel that forest air. So it's about that real intimate connection. And then the third one is of a candle and mortar and pestle and some leaves and different things kind of scattered around. And that to me is really like cottage witch. You know, like I feel like I see Baba Yaga in that, and just like that witch in her forest, you know, mixing things and doing things in the darkness. And it takes me back to that, you know, we were talking about eras before that, you know, the eras that I really connect with as well, you know, before electricity and all that kind of thing. So that's what that means to me. And the last image is of the moon. I am a moon child. I have always loved the moon ever since I was little. You know, like anytime we were out at night, like I would just always be staring at it, and I'd wish upon the moon, even though you were supposed to do it upon stars. I would always talk to the moon. I just love it. Like I love lunar energy. I love nighttime. I love the moon. So I'm obsessed with the moon. So that's what all that means to me. And the next question is, if you had the chance to step into the shoes of a goddess or a god for the day, who would you choose? I love that question as well. I love all these questions. I think that I would like to be Baba Yaga for a day. Like she's just a badass, you know, like she just, I would love to live in her house and in her forest and be surrounded by her bones, and not her bones, but you know, and just kind of like live in that environment for a day, and just kind of have the experiences that she has, you know, like she's just, yeah, she's just a badass witch, and I love her. I think it would be very cool to be her for a day, and I would love to fly around in a mortar and pestle. And if I was a god, I would love to be the horned god. I would love to be a Pan-like figure, just like sexual and wild and free and in nature, you know, like, oh yeah, I'd love that. When you started out, how did you connect with other pagans and witches? I didn't for quite a while. I really honestly didn't start to until I made a YouTube channel. And that was not because it's impossible to or anything like that, but I just wasn't until that point. I mean, I did start sort of connecting to some people before that, just through YouTube, like, you know, commenting on different people's videos, and also making a Facebook page, or whatever it's called, Facebook profile thing, you know, whatever I'm doing now on Facebook. Yeah, and just, you know, actually starting to talk to people. I mean, I didn't until very recently meet anyone in person who was a pagan or a witch. So yeah, it was all done online. There are loads of different websites that you can find, different forums, different groups. Facebook's fantastic, and again, they have groups that you can be a part of and, you know, talk to people. YouTube's fantastic. If you are if you are a watcher or a maker of YouTube videos, there is a YouTube Pagans group on Facebook that you can join. It is by request, so you just find it on Facebook, request to join. I'm pretty sure everyone's accepted. Yeah, you don't have to make videos if you want to be a part of that, but it's a really nice community, a really nice group. So don't be an a-hole on there, you know, otherwise you'll get booted off, I think. Yeah, but it's a really nice place to connect with people, and it has a nice energy, and people really interact with each other and stuff like that. So I will also put the link for that down below. Things you did and now regret. Alright, so I was thinking about this. I feel like I don't have a lot of regrets, which is kind of cool. I think that's pretty cool. There are a couple, and mostly they're to do with friendships that I had. So there was one girl who I was friends with in high school, and just some stuff happened between us, and I treated her like absolute dirt. Like, I have probably never treated anyone so badly in my entire life. I really regret that. She didn't deserve that, and I just... I mean, I look back at it and I cringe and I shudder, you know. I was awful. So I really regret that, and I never said sorry to her. So yeah, I mean, I've since, like, contacted her. Like, I sent her an email. I don't know if she's ever seen it or if she ever will, but yeah, I hate that I did that. I hate that I acted like that, and yeah. And things you didn't do and now regret. This is another friendship one too. There was a friend that I didn't stay in touch with. She's just a magnificent creature, like just an amazing person. And, you know, I was going through kind of like a really low period in my life. Like, I was very anxious, and just like, I didn't tell anyone that though. And I was just like avoiding people and making excuses and like pushing them away. And I did that to her. And, you know, our friendship just like fizzled out at that point, and I really regret that. I really do. She is a very special person, and yeah, I wish she was still in my life, but I mean, she's doing amazing now. Like, she's traveled all over the world, and she like just has had incredible experiences, and she's really following her dreams and her passions, and she's doing what she loves, and I'm excited for her, and I love that too. So yeah, she's doing really awesome, which is cool, but I wish she was still in my life. That's probably my biggest not doing and now regret thing. What are your thoughts, beliefs, or take on the Wiccan Rede and it harm none, do what you will? This is another like thing to get into. So, okay, for myself personally, I don't follow the Wiccan Rede. It never really was something that I felt called to do or felt connected with. I think it's beautiful as a philosophy. I think that it's quite an impossible thing to do, however. You know, like, I mean, if you look at the way we live on a very you know, practical level, like everything we do is causing harm pretty much. If you drive a car, if you eat food that, you know, isn't grown by yourself, you know, the factory farming trade, and even if you're a vegan or a vegetarian, you know, mass monoculture, agriculture and all that kind of thing, like, it's just terrible. The clothes we wear, all that kind of stuff. Now, I watched a really great video the other day on this whole idea, and oh my gosh, I can't remember the guy's name. I can see his face, but I'll link the video down below as well. There's a few things linked today, and he was talking about, you know, he doesn't follow the Rede himself, but he was talking about, like, if you do follow the Rede, what it is about every day becoming better, every day causing less harm, or, you know, learning from the harm that you have caused, and kind of stretching yourself in that capacity to go, how can I live in a completely harmonious way? So I thought that was quite a good video. He does come across quite strong. Now, I don't disagree with this read. I don't think it's a bad thing to follow. You know, like I said, I think it's a really beautiful philosophy. So I don't want to give that impression. Yeah, but it's not something that I follow myself. How has your practice evolved over the years? Has it changed at any point in your life? Always. My practice is always evolving as I evolve. You know, as I change, I bring new things into my practice. I get rid of things. So yeah, I'm constantly changing within my practice, and it always reflects me in my life, you know, especially because at the moment I don't have specific structure. You know, it is very intuitive and just kind of goes by, you know, what I feel at the time. Yeah, it's always constantly changing and growing with me as I grow. So yeah, it's always changing. I did have one more question I wanted to answer, but my camera is about to die. So I'm going to end it here for today. And I'll just add an extra question next time. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this. There was some really fun questions here and some philosophical discussion. I hope that you are all having an amazing week, and I will see you in the very next video. I'm wishing you guys so much love and sunshine and rain and whatever it is that you want and need weather-wise in your area, and I will see you very soon. Much love.